The Miami Heat made two really smart roster moves today. What were those moves? Well, we'll describe them here in a second, but they have to do with Kel'el Ware and Jaime Jaquez Jr. I am Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. It was originally reported and announced by Keith Smith, who basically is the head honcho at Spot Track, it feels like. But he announced that the Heat have picked up the team options on the rookie scale contracts for Kel'el Ware for the 2026-27 season, but also the fourth-year team option for Jaime Jaquez Jr. in that same fourth year. It is the final year of Jaquez's rookie contract. It is the third year of 4 on Ware's rookie deal. And I reacted to the news initially over on social media, so make sure you follow me at Nic_Rohloff because I have more on the Miami Heat over there before we come on here and break it more down in depth. But when you think about these two moves by Miami, they were formalities. Very rarely do teams just decline the team options on former first-round picks unless they are atrocious, abysmal basketball players. You did see it happen with the Lakers and Jalen Hood-Schifino, but they did him wrong. He still would have flourished in Miami. I stand by that. But either way, Ware will be here for at least 2026-27, and so will Jaquez, barring a trade. So let's look at the two rookie contracts now. Let's start with Kel'el Ware, who now has 2 years in a row fully guaranteed at $4.4 million and $4.6 million. Now, Miami will still have to make this decision next year for the 27-28 season, which would be his last year of his rookie deal. It would be a $7.1 million contract for Ware in 27-28 if the Heat ultimately pick up that team option a year from now, which barring disaster, I would have to imagine he does get that picked up, and then he would be a restricted free agent in the 2028 offseason before that 28-29 year. And sticking on Ware here, we're obviously expecting a big second year for the big man out of Indiana. He had a really good rookie season. It was much better than I anticipated. I don't think anyone could have expected him to be as productive and impactful as he was as a rookie, especially because I thought he was more of a raw prospect that needed to develop and hone in on his footwork and his mental makeup and his work ethic. But once the season started to go a little bit downhill, Jimmy Butler got traded. The Heat played him more and more and more, starting him alongside Bam Adebayo, and he looked to the part of a starting caliber NBA center. I mean, I really think that you can just break down his season into two kind of segments here: pre-All-Star break and post-All-Star break. Now, the pre-All-Star break, 38 games played, 19 minutes, started with Bam probably for like 6 to 10 games, because remember, he started in the lineup mid-January. All-Star breaks early February. So you only had about 3 to 4 weeks of Ware in the starting lineup. But obviously, post-All-Star break, he was alongside Adebayo and starting almost consistently. Now, I would have liked to see him be a little bit more efficient. A center only shooting 53, 57% from the field, that's not ideal. And you saw his three-point numbers kind of fall off a cliff from 35% to 24% from pre-All-Star break to post-All-Star break, and they were about the same attempts per night. It was about 1.4 to 1.6, so it's not like he started taking more threes post-All-Star break. You would have liked to see him get more involved offensively for sure, but the rebounding numbers going up was a major plus. Like, you see the vision with Kel'el Ware, but you do need more consistency and effort from him. And I will point back to this past summer league. I was disappointed with Kel'el Ware. I expected him to go to Las Vegas in the California Classic, absolutely dominate, and after 2 or 3 games, Heat fans be like, okay, take Kel'el Ware off the Summer League team because we don't need to see any more. This guy's primed for a big second year in the NBA. That wasn't the case for Kel'el Ware. He came out lethargic. He looked like he didn't even want to be there, and he wasn't dominating like we expected him to do. You go back a year ago, Jaime Jaquez Jr. did that. He dominated in Summer League the second year, and it's like, okay, dude, 2 games, take him out, which Miami did. That wasn't the case with Ware, and it was all because of his effort. If he really just put himself and applied himself, he would have dominated, but he didn't, and that's a concern because one of his biggest red flags coming out of college as a prospect was his work ethic and motivation. Just not what you wanted to see from Ware. Give me better effort. And this is not because of what I saw in Summer League, but I do want to make it clear that I think the Heat should move Kel'el Ware to the bench. I know he started for the second half of last season, and him and Bam look like the starting front court for the Miami Heat in the future. But the way this Heat team is constructed, as I'm currently speaking, we don't have a third big man. And with Tyler Hero's injury, you, to me, have to have Jovic in the starting lineup to have more shooting and more playmaking. Because if you just start Davion Mitchell over Hero, that is a lineup that is going to struggle offensively because there's no on-ball creators and there's a lack of spacing and shooting with Ware, Bam, and Davion all in that lineup. So to me, you got to start Jovic. You also have a backup big off the bench now with Ware, and your front court should be Wiggins, Jovic, and Adebayo with Davion and Powell in the backcourt. I think that should be the case to start off the year, but either way, Ware will be called upon to have a large role for this Heat team. But let me know, who should start for Miami? Should it be Nikola Jovic or should it be Kel'el Ware? I've asked this question a few times, but let me know your thoughts. I'm curious on what you guys have to say. Let's look at Jaime Jaquez Jr. now, whose team option was picked up for the 26-27 season, and due to him being a pick 3 selections behind Ware was 15th overall, Jaquez was 18th. His rookie contract is slightly cheaper. He's under a contract the next 2 years, fully guaranteed, $3.8 million, and then that team option Miami selected at $5.9 million. He is a restricted free agent following that season in the 2027 offseason, so only 2 more years guaranteed of Jaquez in Miami. And this is a big year for Jaime. It really is. After a down second season, you have to wonder, all right, was the rookie year more of an outlier, more of a, all right, we shocked the league and now we're going to regress towards a unproductive player? That is a concern for me because you saw his minutes decrease, you saw his efficiency decrease, you saw everything decrease other than rebounds per game. And that's not a number where it's like, oh, okay. So when everything goes down, minutes, efficiency, points, that's a red flag for me. And it seemed like NBA teams just took him more serious in terms of their defensive game plan. And whenever Jaime Jaquez Jr. would drive to the rim, defenses sat on that spin move, which Jaime loved to get to, and he had no counter for that. The Heat are relying on Jaime Jaquez Jr. to have a bounce-back third year. This was a guy we were talking about after his rookie season as the eventual Jimmy Butler replacement. And I know that replacement came a little bit sooner rather than expected because Jimmy got traded last year, and that wasn't what anyone projected. But Jaime, looking as bad as he did last season, was a major concern. And if he doesn't pick up his play over the next 2 seasons, the Heat might ultimately just let him walk in restricted free agency following the next couple of years. More coming up here in a second, but join the family at the Heat Report today. Daily coverage, Heat news, Heat rumors, everything that you need around this basketball team. Join the channel right now. The reason why I expect a big year for Jaime and say that the Heat are relying on him, well, this is what I project and expect and want the Heat starting lineup to be after the Tyler Hero injury. Obviously, Hero on the bench there. That's why he's got the asterisk. But I'm starting Davion, Powell, Jovic, Bam, and Wiggins. Well, because Davion gets moved in the starting lineup, because I have Jovic starting, well, the bench for Miami becomes a little bit more bleak. You have Ware as that first man off the bench, but then you talk about the top guys coming off the bench being Jaquez, Larson, Fontecchio, Yakachonis, Rozier potentially early on in the year. And I'll say it again. With Tyler Hero out for at least the first 12 to 13 games, a projected return is around November 17th, November 19th, which is game 14 or 15 of the season. Jaime Jaquez Jr. may very well be the number 1 scoring option off the bench for Miami. Let's be real here. Are you going to ask Kel'el Ware to be a main offensive guy off the bench? No. Are you going to ask Larson to do that? No. Are you going to ask Drew Smith to do that? No. Are you going to ask Simone Fontecchio to do that? No. So when you look at the Heat's bench right now, if you start Jovic and Davion, Jaime Jaquez Jr. is the number 1 offensive option on that bench unit. Now, you will never have him be the number 1 guy on a lineup. You will stagger minutes to have a Powell, a Wiggins, a Bam, on the floor at all times, or at least you hope Eric Spoelstra does that. But the point remains, Jaime Jaquez Jr. will have a large offensive role coming off the bench for this Heat team with Tyler Hero out. And I know some fans will be like, we'll just start Ware with Bam and have Jovic be that lead guy offensively off the bench. I'll go back to the point I made earlier in the video to where I think the Heat need Jovic's spacing and creation in that starting group with Hero out. All right, we're going to round out the show here in a second, but take advantage of this clearance sale. 30-ounce stainless steel Tervis/mug, $16 off, usually $42, now available for $26 when you go to chatsports.com/heatmug. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Saw in the comments that someone picked up too on yesterday's video we put out. Love to hear it. Go grab yours today. All right, the last couple of moves that we should think about and look forward to when it comes to the Heat this offseason is on Tyler Hero and Nikola Jovic. So we saw the team options for Jaquez and Ware get picked up. Well, now the Heat have to make decisions on potential extensions with Nikola Jovic and Tyler Hero. Hero becomes eligible for an extension starting October 1st. That window to extend him is October 1st to the 20th. Jovic is also extension eligible as he heads into the final year of his rookie contract. Briefly on Tyler Hero, I am not extending him under any circumstances right now. He is eligible for a max 3-year, $149.7 million extension. With him getting injured and missing the first 14 games of the season, I am not dealing with an extension. I didn't really want to extend him before the injury. I wanted to see how that played out in terms of this season. Could he have another big year? Could he stay healthy for the second straight year? Well, we're now looking at a player in Tyler Hero that has had injury problems in the past and is already having them again. Like, I don't want to make this a apples to apples thing, but Hero and Tua get compared a lot if you're a Dolphins and Heat fan. And the Dolphins paid Tua a massive contract extension after he finally stayed healthy for a full 17-game season and played extremely well. Well, if you're going apples to apples, it would be the same thing. All right, you reward Hero with a massive extension because he finally was an all-star and stayed healthy for 77 games for the first time of his career. Well, I think the Heat should almost learn from the Dolphins' mistakes of, okay, they extended Tua, now they want to move off of him. All right, Miami, do not extend Hero right now to that max contract that he's eligible for unless he gets a max discount deal. Like, if you are getting him at $35 million per season over 3 years, okay, sign me up for that. But 48, 47, 49? No. Hold on. Do not do that. I would extend Nikola Jovic, though. This is a move that I do think Miami should look to make. And it's almost contradictory of why I'm not extending Hero, because we haven't seen Hero be able to stay healthy consistently, but we haven't seen Jovic done it either. The last 2 years, he's played 46 games in each of those 2 seasons. As a rookie, I don't really count that because he was never expected to have a role as a developmental year for Jovic. But he hasn't played more than 46 games in a season of his career. But with him continually getting stronger, progressing, how he looked at Eurobasket for Team Serbia, and his expanded role that is forecasted, I think you should try to get ahead of the curve and then extend him now. I think an extension of 3 years, $45 million, where it's AAV of 15 per year, makes a lot of sense for the Miami Heat. And the part that concerns me is if you don't extend him now, he finally stays healthy, takes that step forward in a larger role for Miami in the starting lineup or off the bench, and has a good start to the year with Tyler Hero out for a month. Well, then he might command $20 million per season, because it's hard to find a player that is 6'10", 6'11", that possesses the shooting, playmaking, and IQ that Nikola Jovic does. I do expect him to take another step forward. And if he does take a step and plays 65-plus games this season, finally is able to stay healthy, well, then I mentioned it. I think you'll be left here next season with Jovic entering restricted free agency, potentially making $20 million per season. And if Miami doesn't view that as a good move, maybe Jovic walks. Well, I don't want Jovic to walk. And I get it, 20 mil is a lot, which is why I think if you offered him 3 for 45 right now, he would ultimately take it. Those are the last 2 moves Miami might make this offseason before the season gets underway. We're a week away from training camp getting started in Miami. It's going to be a lot of fun. For more updates around Miami, make sure you subscribe, but make sure you also follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff.